Okay, let's talk about week 6 now. We're going to have this as our article and get me convenience first, not a bunch of features. Okay, so is someone else complaining about the industry and how it gets a little wacky and how they want, you know, their ideas about how to improve user interface related to appliances. So it's kind of a rant, but it's a valid thought at this time, a valid thing to apply to your user interface. Okay, related to your booklet, of course, you'll do a summary for that too. Um, Related to your booklet, we'll do onboarding. Now, onboarding is usually something that only shows up when you first turn on the app or you first turn on the device. Um, I don't know how deep or how complex the onboarding is for an appliance, really. Um, Anytime you need a user name and password for an app with a database, let's say you downloaded this app to help you volunteer for opportunities in the community, and the first time you turn it on your phone, well, in order for it to really be useful, you're going to have to create a username and a password, so it's going to gather information from you, name, address, etc. Create a username, you create a password, and you just keep logging in, and that way you're in the database. So as you sign up, the computer knows that and sends you notifications to remind you, etc. So, do you need that kind of complexity with a fridge? No, your fridge probably just thinks you are you. The fridge is the fridge. So I don't think, you know, there might be a lot of people in the household using the fridge, yes, but I don't think, this is my opinion, that every user in the family needs to create an account and be accessing the fridge that way. Now, you could argue, you say, well, I want everyone to be able to put their separate accounts on the calendar. Uh, okay, well, in that case, okay, you do need a different account for every single person. So onboarding becomes far more critical for you. Or maybe you want to have a special music channel just for that user, that person. Well, they're going to have separate accounts if this device plays music. So it can be more complex. I think I'm going to add a link to this as a reference, and that's this article about onboarding. I think in general, this first one is probably going to be the right onboarding for appliances, which is simply a welcome message saying, hello, congratulations on buying this such and such a product. We're here to help you. And it will lead you with little tips saying, hey, we have a little training for you. Let me show you how to use this is the navigation. And if you want to find out what the inventory on the fridge is, click here. And if you want to get suggestions on a dinner recipe related to the contents of the fridge, click here. So onboarding can be probably useful in that sense for an appliance. There's other forms of onboarding too. Let's go. It goes on forever. I won't go through all of them. A product tour. This is like I was described before. This part does this. Personally, I don't have the patience to ever do these. And like I think it was Steve Jobs who said, a user interface that needs a manual is a failure. It should be so intuitive that you don't need any of these things. But I don't know. Maybe a product tour would be useful. Oh, do this, do this. Okay, you could have a progress bar. You could say, I'm going to show you this, to this, this. Okay. I could help you. The onboarding could be the form of a checklist where you're learning, oh, you've learned this, you've learned this. So it goes on and on. There's plenty of tooltips. So some of these are, related to appliances. some not so much, but yet I see a need for an onboarding system when you first turn on your device. Some of you are going to have to create user accounts, some of you are not. Because this is a new thing, I'm not asking the booklet to be populated with refined screens right now, just low fidelity sketches that would show me how you picture your usability or your onboarding system working. Okay, so that's, and you have a little statement there. So it's onboarding system, the sketches, and a statement. Number two, a UI pattern statement. So I'm asking for 3 sentences at a minimum. Good UI follows patterns, meaning if you want a person to navigate to X, then I want you to establish a single system to also navigate to Y and Z. If you have a system of navigation, that is a pattern. The more patterns you build into your system, the easier it'll be for someone to understand your system. So I want you to think about that. Ask yourself, what are the patterns? How am I making it easier? What is standardized? And explain that. Okay, now a strategy. In particular, I want you to tackle this one idea. UX is about design empathy, which means translating user needs into actionable solutions. So again, you have to think, why in the world would a person ever need a screen interface for this appliance? Okay, they would want to achieve X, Y, and Z. Okay. How can I help them do that? That's you having empathy, in this case, design empathy, for the potential user to help them figure out how to achieve those needs. Okay, so that's what that is. And in a lot of cases, you've kind of talked about this in your concept, etc., but you never this specific. And since the industry is very, very excited about these things, I think going into an interview without this kind of knowledge would be very limiting for you to get into the industry. So that's why, although it might seem a little redundant on your end, I think it's going to pay off in the long run, particularly for those of you who will do this as your future career. Some ideas that might help you figure out this strategy: you could ask yourself, what's the user's goal? What have you done to make that easier? What do you want the users to do? How are you helping them? Okay. Then, when you answer all that and get that in the book, work more on your screens. Our goal now is up to 20 screens in high fidelity. And it's week 6, not week 7. We're still going to, that's when we're going to do the usability study, the second one. And we're going to do that now, so that gives us 1 week to correct anything that we didn't recognize as an error that our volunteers discover when they test our interface. Again, you want to ask the same 5 questions as before the first time, and those questions will be unique to your product: toaster oven, vacuum cleaner, security system, thermostat, etc. And let's see. Okay, this is the link to the older one, but yeah. Okay, so, and then we'll draw some conclusions from the usability test. I'll strongly encourage you to test this on more than one person, not just one volunteer, but at least try to get 2 volunteers, so you can write up a new conclusion related to that. And that's how you'll refine your system for next week. Okay, so that's what our goals for week 6. Thank you very much.